Baron and Leonor, a love beyond borders, beyond time, two hearts. Royalty, protocol, tradition, across continents, rules shape destinies. But what if one quiet friendship defied them all? What if two young lives, worlds apart, dared to meet in a space beyond borders, beyond time? This is not the story you expect. It's the one they never wanted told. Body approximately equals 45 minutes. The story begins not in a palace, but in a room filled with books, letters, and maps. Princess Leonor of Spain, crown heir, scholar, daughter, sat with her advisors preparing for yet another state engagement. She had been raised under the weight of duty, every gesture measured, every smile rehearsed. Meanwhile, in another world of privilege yet starkly different customs, Baron grew up in the shadow of power and controversy. While much of the world knew his surname, few understood his solitude. He, too, spent hours alone with books, sports, and quiet contemplation, an heir not to a throne but to a legacy impossible to escape. How do two people so distant ever collide? It began with a single invitation, an international youth summit in Geneva focused on diplomacy and innovation. There, beneath the marble ceilings and flags of many nations, they first saw one another, not as headlines but as individuals. Leonor, reserved but curious, extended a polite greeting. Baron, taller than most and strikingly quiet, simply nodded. That moment, unnoticed by cameras, sparked a chain of letters, late-night calls, and whispered confidences. They spoke of dreams, of freedom, of the lives they might live if their names were not so heavy. Yet as their bond deepened, tension brewed. Advisors warned Leonor that friendship with an American outsider could be construed as political. Baron's circle feared any association would draw scrutiny. The world, it seemed, would never permit such a connection. But instead of retreating, they began to weave a quiet rebellion. Each time a question is answered, how did they meet? Why risk so much? A deeper question arises, what is love worth when it collides with power? Leonor's parents, King Felipe and Queen Letizia, were torn. On one hand, they admired their daughter's sincerity, on the other, they knew that every move she made shaped Spain's future. Baron's family faced its own storms of public perception. In private, both young hearts wrestled with duty and desire. They found solace in letters written in code, hidden in plain sight. They met only at international events, where cameras could not capture private glances. Witnesses recall how their eyes would find each other in a crowded room, a fleeting moment of connection no protocol could erase. The story breathes, slows, builds, their shared interests, history, music, humanitarian work, became bridges. They dreamed of creating a foundation to unite young leaders across continents. They envisioned a life where public service and personal happiness might coexist. But royalty has rules, love has risks. And time has a way of testing what is true. Rumors began to swirl. Was this merely a youthful friendship? Or something deeper? They faced setbacks, a planned meeting cancelled last minute, a leaked photograph misinterpreted, a stern warning from palace officials. Yet each obstacle only deepened their resolve. For every barrier, they created a new path, encrypted messages, shared causes, carefully orchestrated encounters. Listeners lean in, what happens next? Does love triumph? Does duty crush it? Then, a turning point. Leonor, on the cusp of adulthood and increasing public duties, chose to speak privately to her parents about Baron. She described not a scandal but a partnership, two young people believing in a world without borders. King Felipe listened silently, weighing centuries of tradition against his daughter's quiet conviction. Baron, too, confided in his inner circle. He spoke of respect, admiration, and the challenge of building something authentic in a world that prizes spectacle. His words were met with skepticism but also curiosity. Could their story become a symbol rather than a threat? Slowly, the narrative shifted. What began as whispers of impropriety evolved into a portrait of two young leaders uniting cultures. At a charity gala in New York, they appeared in the same room again, though never photographed side by side. Yet those present felt an undeniable energy, an invisible thread tying them together. The voiceover softens, picture them not as headlines but as two souls under the same sky. She, standing on a balcony in Madrid at dawn, he, walking along a quiet street in Florida at dusk. both looking at the horizon, wondering if destiny might bend to their will. Curiosity loops close and open again. Will the public ever know the full truth? Can a love born in secrecy survive the light? Their story, if you trace it carefully, shows moments of courage. Leonor advocating for youth diplomacy programs with an unmistakable American partner behind the scenes. Barron supporting European humanitarian initiatives anonymously. Small acts, like stitches, binding two worlds together. Family tension never disappeared. Tradition remained a formidable wall. And yet, behind closed doors, they spoke not of escape but of service, of building something greater than themselves. By the end, the script invites the listener to feel the weight of their choices. Not a fairy tale, but a testament. Love can be real, quiet, and powerful even when history conspires against it. And so we return to the beginning: royalty, protocol, tradition, two young lives refusing to be defined solely by them. Whether their story ends in union or in parting, it has already carved a path beyond borders, beyond time.